Hello Malaysians, it's the 5th of April and it's 11:15 at night in Perth. Well, today I read a feature article on the MAHATIr, front page of Malaysian Insider, with him standing at the door of his car, alighting from his car, I presume. Well, he has a lot to say. And for one thing that you must notice, people of Malaysia, Mahathir has made the most noise. Mahathir is everywhere. But where is Najib? Where are the other cabinet members of the government? Where are all the UMNO bigwigs? None of them have appeared. Only Mahathir, and now and again we get Najib pumping his fist and sloganeering as usual with nothing much to say. Well, how can you trust a party that is so bereft of performing members of the government? Cabinet members who are able to perform, they are totally missing. We don't see any of them. We only see Mahathir. Does it mean that Mahathir is going to be the next Prime Minister of Malaysia? Well, this says a lot for what's going on the UMNO or so-called Barisan Nasional side of politics. It's totally devoid of any meaningful leadership. It's a party that is void of leadership. No one to carry on in a meaningful sort of way in the government. And how can you people in Malaysia trust such a government? A government that has no personalities with sufficient charisma and sufficient talent and skill to maneuver Malaysia through these tricky times that we are in at this present moment. The world is facing a financial collapse, and the US economy will collapse. The US dollar will collapse within this year, it's said, and Malaysia is hitched to the US dollar by its coattails. So where will Malaysia go in such a situation? And if the times are so difficult, how can you trust the government to a party that has no leaders? The only leader they have is a man who retired 10 years ago. And not that he did a good job of his time in government, because he tore the fabric of Malaysian society into so many tiny bits. You know, Malaysia has never been able to recover since. Malaysia is a nation torn apart by so many different forces. There is no meaningful government in Malaysia at the present moment. I recommend that you make a change for a fresh government with fresh faces, fresh talents, and people who are able to articulate the desire, the vision, and the ambitions of the Malaysian nation. Well, Malaysia is not a nation to be proud of at this present moment, because you are not a nation. You are a country. Malaysia is a country. It is not a nation. A nation is made up of components who come together and find one common identity and share common values and commonalities that will harmonize the society that we are living in. Malaysia is not such a society. Malaysia is broken into bits and pieces. You need a meaningful government. A government, as Mahathir said, is a pakatan. It's a pack. It's a group of component parties who share a common dream to make Malaysia a great nation where all the various communities come together and call themselves with pride, we are Malaysians. Just as we in Australia, we call ourselves Australians with pride, and we know that our fellow Anglo-Australians treat us, Asian Australians, equally. There's no discrimination, and the whites do not look down on the Asians as Mahathir is used to say to the lot of you. It's not true. Mahathir say there's discrimination in Australia. That's not true. Australia is the most equal society in the world, and I'm proud to be Australian. Well, it is now time for you, people of Malaysia, to decide what you want. Do you want to be a nation that is hemorrhaging citizens migrating to Australia, to Singapore, to England, to USA, to Canada? Or do you want a country where everyone is proud to be Malaysian and will stay put and put your shoulders to a common cause to build a strong, healthy, and a nation that others will look up to, as does Singapore? Malaysia would have been another Singapore if not for Mahathir. Malaysia would be another Singapore, and by far, because of the natural resources that Malaysia had over Singapore, Malaysia would have led the way instead of Singapore. But today, Singapore is first world. Malaysia is still lagging behind in third world backwaters. There is nothing to be proud of. You need to change your government. That's what Malaysia needs. A new government, new faces, and people with talent to guide the country. Well, I'll put it down here, and we'll get back to you. Since the election is coming up very soon, I believe I would like to have a lot to say, because I was among one of the first to migrate from Malaysia in 1978 after the 1969 riots, because I saw that there was nothing left there for the Chinese, and I've been right, because since then it's said by Mr. Lim Guan Eng that 2 million Malaysians have migrated from the shores of Malaysia, and I was among one of the first to leave the country. I have a lot to say, and by the way, Malaysia need not be what it is today. You could do very much better than what you have done so far. Your oil resources are depleting, and new industries coming down the pipeline, IT industries and everything, and Malaysia hasn't got a part in it at all. New materials, new pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. Singapore is doing all that good stuff. And what is Malaysia? Malaysia is nowhere to be seen. Okay, I will come back to you, and this time I will describe to you how UMNO exploits and swindle the Malay people during the years that they have been in government. Isn't that an interesting topic to talk about? Yes. Tomorrow I shall talk about why is it that the government has no reason to privatize water, and that the Selangor government under Tan Sri Khalid has done the real great job in terminating the contract with this private firm to manage the water resources of Selangor. The years to come, water will be very short. It is said that the next great war will not be a war over oil. It will be a war over water resources. And for Malaysia to think, for UMNO to think that they can privatize water so that they can make a lot of money is absolute nonsense. And that is the topic that I shall discuss tomorrow. Good night.